approaches. I agree, Demo. I can probably count on one hand the amount of times that we've seen Cafe played.
4 times last stage.
I mean, there you go. There it is. That is countable on one hand. You would only need your fingers to count that as well, which is ideal. But I recall, I can't remember if it was a conversation that I was having with Bodega or if it was something that he tweeted, but I think he definitely did tweet something about this map. I think we were sort of agreeing that it's maybe not the most exciting map in the world to watch. But let's see how we fare as we jump on into this one. There's certainly some questions that we need answering. Again, it's one of my favorite things about week 1 of a stage is typically you get a little bit of an insight into how these teams are going to perform, and they set their expectations for the rest of the stage. Now, we've already seen Liquid do just that. MIBR coming back in. Now, these guys have not made a change, but they are going to be playing with their full 5. And Philippox no longer on the controller. He is going to be rocking good old keyboard and mouse back where it belongs. Let's see if it's the difference that they need. Because honestly, for me, having seen how well MIBR did in stage 1 under SI, it was heartbreaking to watch how their stage 2 played out. And you've just got to wish them all the best. It's just such an unfortunate circumstance. You know, a shoulder operation. You just can't do anything about that. You've got to have the operation. But it comes at the cost of being able to play Siege. And the journey and the trajectory that those guys were on, it's not going to take them forever to get back there. But they were really going somewhere. Now's their time to start building that again.
Hopefully, MIBR can get back to the great Siege that we know they can play. I mean, even MIBR not even getting into, like, the Copa Elite 6 was a big, you know, massive, massive downfall. Like, we have to also talk about that, Ollie. You know, Copa Elite 6 is where we see teams potentially sneak in to a spot in towards the major. I mean, were teams really expecting FaZe to not be at the major? I mean, that was a big one as well. Hopefully we'll get on to FaZe as time goes on here in the season. We'll talk about them a little bit more, but you know, we've seen just this league be a roller coaster, just up and down. That's all it is. You can't predict where it's going to go. It's like the stock market. No idea. No clue.
Is it a Fugazi?
I'm so happy you've made that reference. I'm so happy.
You into it?
Oh, it's one of my favorite films. So good.
It really is, though. You don't know whether it's going to go up, down, sideways, or backways. Really no way to tell. As we've seen, teams have risen inside of the league. MIBR, NIP. Teams have fallen inside of the league. MIBR. It really is a bit of a cruel mystery. So you need to try and get a handle of that nice and early on. And certainly every game counts for a team like Black Dragons that are looking to make that little bit of a rise. And with the cumulative standings, this being the last stage, it really is a mountain to climb. There'll be work being done on stats and knowing how many points you need to get out of each game to give yourself the best chance. You can figure all that sort of stuff out. For the meantime, you better believe that every single one of these games is very important indeed, and could be a good opportunity to get an advantage here for either one of these sides. It is by no means a clear-cut thing. We haven't seen full-strength MIBR in quite some time. Now, they are defending onto Cafe. It's a map that we don't really see them play too much, so potentially something that they have been working on. And so far, whatever they've been doing seems to be going quite well. They've been able to waste quite a good portion of time. They've given up a lot of control as these vertical angles start to get opened up.
So one thing about Black Dragons and how they've kind of approached this is they're not afraid to challenge these roamers, which I think is already a good attitude that you need to have for Cafe. This is a roaming map. This is where you will find roamers lurk here, there, everywhere. There are precessed staircases. It's always going to be an issue. They've done very well to scare away MIBR, and this is where the vertical game comes in so big. Vertical and Cafe is massive for the kitchen bomb site. A lot of different positions that you would like to play as a defender just get shut down. You just get absolutely obliterated from above, which is slowly starting to happen. Somehow Philippox is still alive, and now he's looking to challenge in towards some of these angles. See the drop in from Habana. Echo drones will be able to give out some information. Zeto just really struggling to try and get into the bomb site. I believe the Echo Turret has been shot, though, so now they can try and move in for a defuse plant.
The plant will start to go down, but is it going to be under any cover? Look at all the kills. The scoreboard's lighting up blue as the plant was not successful here. Patoxy desperately trying to push his way down brown stairs, but Lukid, he is lying in wait. MIBR, very patient, very successful, relying heavily on their utility as they ought to be able to in that situation. The Toxic Babe canisters, their information from the Yokai drone, really getting them over the line there.
I think the vertical game maybe wasn't as attended to as what should have, I feel, Ollie. You look at where all of the smoke canisters were being tossed from, positions that can be naded out from the vertical holes, can be held from the vertical holes. Very, very surprised that that's kind of happened to MIBR, or Black Dragon should I say there, and just allowed MIBR to go for these swings and deny that plant very easily. I mean, if you're going to go for the vertical game, one thing that always kind of strikes my mind is you need to take control of VIP and restaurant. That was not done whatsoever. Nobody went near that side of the map, which is, in my opinion, kind of 101 with that attack. If you're going for a freezer drop, you need to take that side of the map. You just can't drop in freezer and hope that's going to work, because as we've seen, Ollie, it
doesn't work. This is probably the most punishing map for attackers in terms of time. There is regular occasion where it's going to take you 35, 40 seconds to get up onto the roof safely.
Because you can roam. Like, just that roam presence just puts immediately a minute off the clock. It just does.
Because you have to start everything as a top floor clear. You have to drone everything. It is an absolute nightmare as an attacker to approach this map. You have to approach it in a very similar way every single time in terms of a top-down clear, just to be sure, or be very thorough in your drone work. And even then, it's a very difficult map to get a firm and early advantage of. And that could be something that pushes Black Dragons here. You know, they're a team that have struggled previously on their attacks. They're a team that have recently made a change. All these things don't bode well when you start talking about being able to quickly and consistently clear out a roam game.
So again, a little bit of roam presence just below this time. It's going to be more pressure towards the C4 ends of the deal. Like I said, roaming is going to be massive for this map. If you look at a kitchen roam, it's all about trying to get kills and waste time. Whereas if you're roaming on a top floor, it's all about the C4s. That's what you're going to try and look for. In towards the rating is where we will head, of course. Keep in mind that we see teams go below in towards kitchen sometimes and try and C4 people who try and plant default towards fireplace, which has been much more of a common attack that I'm seeing, as teams will take in towards piano, drop down in towards train, and then just try and plant with smokes on the fireplace door. So there's moments like that that you have to be ready for. Obviously, Mira being up is going to be a massive pick for wherever defense takes it. Mira holding in towards that top floor, in towards that long part, in towards freezer, holding on to white. Very tricky thing to deal with.
Not a lot of anything being dealt with right now, as we do see a C4.
He's so lucky.
Oh, the Toxic Babe canister as well, chunking live down. Zeto is going to get himself onto the rappel. This is what I mean about time on this map. There's a minute left right now, and realistically, Black Dragons have burnt a couple of smokes and a C4. They have not made any sort of great inroad into the map. Sure, we've got Ion. He's now challenging on through into White Corridor. What is he going to be able to do with this? There's players still on White Stairs. There's probably a bit of presence directly below as well. The site is being occupied. 35 seconds. Have we got time enough to be opening up vertical here? Well, maybe, but when your sledge is on 1 HP, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to do so. Iron now tries to push his way down white, as MIBR are just hanging around at the bottom to lower portion of White Stairs. Keeping mindful of the hatch as the push does start to come through now, but it really needs to hurry itself along a little bit. Ion, he's going to find one onto Felipox. Fouls, he's toing and throwing. Picks himself up one, going back to back with Raps here. Patoxy, he looks to push on through, but he will meet his fate. Final 2 kills coming through as well. MIBR not looking pressured all too much there.
clinical. Absolutely clinical. The epitome of wasting time and playing your utility to the best of its ability. Was a moment where I was worried for MIBR. Whenever I see 3 people trapped on white stairs, I'm thinking, oh, that's 3 people who can't do anything. If you have one guy playing on the white platform just before you go down in towards 90, you can cut off anyone rotating. That almost is going to be a big disaster for MIBR. Thankfully, it didn't for them. But, again, Black Dragons just come back to the time. It's always against them. It always feels as if they're chasing.
They were certainly chasing in that round, you know, and it's kind of weird because I mentioned that, you know, there's only one good way to attack this map, and that's to get yourself onto the roof and work the hatches. We saw Black Dragons spend like a minute and a half, nearly 2 minutes out on the rappel. They just spent so much time where they would have been just better dropping new hatch and looking for a bit of a clear through that way. Obviously, sounds a lot easier than it is. There's probably someone below watching new hatch, and you're then going to deal with that problem as well. But it's better than sort of chancing your arm on the rappel. We saw how it nearly went, well, how it did end up going for live, and how it very nearly went quite early on as he was very quickly left on 1 HP. Just not being given all too much of an opportunity here, and I think that that's something that MIBR do very well, is locking your opponent out.
Okay, let's move on now. Hopefully Black Dragons can try and sort out their time management, which hasn't been the greatest as of now. There's IQ. New update to IQ, if anyone missed it, is that you can now see specifically what you're after. You can now see what gadget it is here, there, everywhere. So great little adjustment. Just makes IQ, I think, easier to understand and easier to play. IQ's always been a great pick for Cafe. You can go up to the rooftop and you can scan out all of the gadgets. You can see what's in, you know, Pixel Corner, what's in towards Freezer, and it kind of lets you eye up what kind of push you want to go for. I know a team like G2, they used that a lot back in the day, and it worked wonders for them.
It's also surprising not to see the Valkyrie brought. You know, you mentioned the IQ and you immediately think Valkyrie, Echo. We saw a little bit of Echo from MIBR, but they're not taking advantage of that outside information. And, you know, you think when Black Dragons are playing so heavily on the rappel, it wouldn't be a bad shout to make a little bit of use of that. Fowls is going to be able to find himself an early kill, but Live is in position to trade on back. A Rooney for Zafir. Probably a worthwhile trade for the defenders, but still, it's one less gun to have when it really matters.
This is a tricky position now for Reduct, and will get wall banged. Don't know what he's hanging around there for. Was droned out. MIBR on the back foot now. A minute to go. This is a lot better from Black Dragons, Ollie. They have their control of Piano. Now they can move in. They can open up the walls. They can create some extra areas, but Falls goes mad with a swing. Eliminates Ion. Black Dragons, looks as if they had a bit of an advantage, but that's being snatched away from them now. And Falls still in a very deadly position, Ollie.
Plenty of time left here as well for MIBR. They don't need to rush this defense. They can just relax back and let players push into them. Fowls is going to do just exactly that. Nobody can deal with him inside of the freezer. Felipox with the swing as well, as Patoxy is left as the sole survivor. 25 seconds left. Diffuser just behind him, but it is not going to matter. He's unlikely going to be given the time or the space to get the plant down here, as MIBR is showing that patience once again. These guys do not care about the KD. They do not want anything other than another round on the board. And that is a terrifying position to be in. Just confidently sitting back and knowing, you know what, guys, we've got this one. I say that Fowls is going to give himself away at the end. A little bit of a consolation prize. Gets caught out there in the edge. Haven't quite rightly taken on out. But that's good patience shown all the way up until that point there from MIBR.
Get your freebies. Well, they're coming hot. MIBR Falls. I mean, what can you say about him there, Ollie? I mean, just that alibi. Haven't really mentioned alibi as well, Ollie. Very, very strong operator at the moment, I feel anyway. We've seen Frost be like a kind of niche pick that developed into a pretty ordinary pick. I feel as if alibi is now that. You have a shield, You can have impacts, you have a shotgun, you have one of the best guns in defense. Really nice package. Gadget lets her down a little bit, but still a great package.
You got the good sight as well.
Yep.
I think, you know, you've just got to sometimes take it, haven't you? You've just got to sometimes take the lackluster gadget and go, you know what? I'm just going for everything else that I bring. You basically bring a truckload of utility. And again, you mentioned it with Frost there. Frost, a little bit of a meme pick. You know, we saw Frost mats win the odd round, or Pog mats as they're more affectionately known as. But still, it's for the shield, it's for the shotgun. There's other things that go into that. And, you know, MIBR, they've been a team that throughout Stage 2 regularly chose onto an alibi. Now, in some instance, it was for Leapox. I think that the MX4 was gun to control recoil-wise on a controller. And I think that that's probably one of the reasons why he played it. Also, very little to do in terms of, yeah, you've got an impact, you've got a shotgun, but ultimately you're just out there on the roam. So it's certainly someone that MIBR are familiar with fitting into their lineup. This time, though, we will not see it. Instead, we see a little bit more information being brought. And the yokai has been switched out for none other than Tachanka.
Not sold on Tachanka. Still think it's a very risky operator to go for, and usually the value we see from him, pretty null and void. I mean, the position he's playing is to simply try and deny a bit of time onto Bakery, which, fair enough, has been something that Black Dragons has struggled with. That's a definite, but is it going to be able to delay enough time? Especially whenever Black Dragons, they're just going straight in for a Bakery, and down goes to the Tachanka. He's wasted just a minute. That is it, only a minute. But even at that, that's usually how long it takes anyway.
Rap's being forced to play a lot more aggressive now as well. He did get a glimpse there.
My.
Oh, the unfortunate team kill live.
That's his
He's
kill.
going to take down the rookie. Still, doesn't leave Black Dragons in a terrible position. They have all the tools they need. They've got the diffuser inside of Bakery. A rotation now being opened up there by Reduct. As he's inside a coat check, he wants to have himself a nice line of sight on through into sight if required. That is the wall that is currently being opened. And the job now will be finished by Perez. Raps is going to be holding on to that breach. He's still got a couple of toxic barrier canisters left. So there is potential here for him to deny at least a little bit of this time. Lucan and Reduct, they're going to be holding down the flanks for the time being, but they know that the main portion of pressure is at some point going to be coming through that Bakery. Air jab's out in position, so if MIBR did want to get a little bit aggressive onto this, they would likely struggle. You can see that they're getting a little bit itchy for it as the time does tick by, but it's on Black Dragons to make that move. They're going to start making it. Perez, another team kill, 2 team kills in 1 round. Demo, what is this? This is still doable here. And MIBR haven't had a single kill for themselves yet. Lucan and Reduct, the last 2 remaining. Reduct is going to be able to hit him shots. Finally, MIBR find the scoreboard. Lucan, can you pick up a second? That was diffuser down as well. It has now been recovered. 20 seconds left. Still, the air jabs placed on the wedding door to consider, as they are going to be very difficult to try and navigate. Lucan, he's laying, he's praying, he's hoping to hit his shots. He's going to miss. Reduct, he's going to be there for the 1-for-1 trade though. And with 1 kill going in MIBR's favor, this round has come down to a 1 versus 1. MIBR, they are going to take it. The plant was not stuck. All you need is 1 kill, 2 team kills, and let the time do the rest.
Okay, so this is where we've got to the point where my hair is getting a little bit... I want to pull it out. I really don't know what to say about that round. I really don't know what to say. It kind of feels as if Black Dragons have played themselves.
They have...
2 team kills.
They've killed themselves.
2 team kills.
2!
Yeah.
Not even 1.
Yeah, 2 team kills. That's all you can say. They took a heck of a lot of time. A lot longer than I would have expected. They had 4 people just trying to go into Bakery. You had 1 guy holding small, which in reality, you put an air jab to do that. All you do is you put a nomad trap. Nobody can push you there. You have 1 guy pushing into prep, and you should ideally have 1 guy just on breach. The other two, I would probably have rotated somebody to front door. You look at the positioning that we seen the Valkyrie in. Valkyrie was really worried about somebody pushing in towards front door and then trying to kill them inside a coat. If that rotation had been made, if somebody was just knocking on the door, that would have changed the entire outcome. Black Dragons did really well with that bakery clear. They cleared that out in a minute. They got 2 kills. Great standing. Really, really good standing at that time. Why are they not spreading out? Why are they not trying to hit MIBR in other directions? They're giving MIBR the freedom. They're letting them play their siege. Why?
It really is a round that if Black Dragons want to know how to win that round next time, how to adapt, rewatch the round and look at the places that MIBR were worried about. Look at where they were constantly checking over the shoulder because they didn't have a camera on it, because that is where the push needed to come from. As you say, anything through the brown stairs side of things, anything through the main door, it would have caused a real problem there, and if it was well timed, it would have been even worse. Reduct, he is just going to stroll around the corner, and a shotgun point blank always wins out that engagement. Ion, he's virtually given himself away there. Black Dragons, have they just given up here? Because Ion was just strolling himself up those stairs.
So, Black Dragons, again, not in a good position to be in. I'm seeing Amaru. I look at Amaru, Ollie, and I'm thinking desperation more than anything. I mean, if you have to try and rely on an operator that is very hit or miss in many circumstances, then it's not a great idea. And I think Black Dragons right now, you can tell that they're kind of under pressure. They're feeling it right now from MIBR. They're shaking. Here comes a bit of an Amaru. Up the hatch, it seems to be from Freezer. And it has done absolutely nothing. So, Black Dragons, once again, are on the back foot. As I say that, live out of nowhere is fine too. And Patoxy has also found another one. MIBR have given kills away to Black Dragons. Maybe here in the Amaru has put a bit of panic onto the MIBR camp, and they've had to try and fight back some kills, where in reality, they didn't need to.
The diffuser is still cold here, but there is over a minute, and Patoxy has the info and the cross. He's going to be able to find the last kill there, and that gives Black Dragons their first round here. Currently, a 4-1 split to MIBR. Now, this is a relatively defender-sided map, although, 1, we don't get to see it a great deal inside of LATAM, and 2, MIBR, at least on recent record, haven't played this map, so we really don't know what to expect here so far. That was a scrappy round from Black Dragons, and it showed a similar comparison to the start of round number 4, where we saw that aggressive bakery take. And I think that that's a playstyle that Black Dragons just need to try and run with a little bit more, is that really working on that aggression in the early part of the round, and then building that and using it as momentum. Previously, when we saw them attack into this site, it was a pretty sorry affair. They were on rappel for a minute and a half, a minute and 40 seconds.
Yeah, I think those mirror windows really delayed them. I think Black Dragons, if they just try and go all in and clear on the top floor and just try and eliminate the mirror windows, they have one of the best counters to mirror in the form of Habana. Sure, there might be mute jammers attached to said mirror windows, but you have nades. You can still rotate somebody over to try and eliminate that mute jammer. You get rid of the mirror windows and you have a very easy time of taking the top floor. And especially for this bomb site, Ollie, if you take the top floor vertical, that should be pretty much it. We've seen so many times team have the top floor vertical, they rotate into pillars, they go for a plant, teams try to retake, but they get slaughtered because there's one guy sitting above. It's that simple.
It really is just keep your sledge alive and get yourself up onto that top floor, get control, and start opening things up. And the quicker that all happens, and the more economical you're able to start doing that with, it really is going to give you a bit of an easier time of things. But the mirror windows are going to be a factor here, and it's a factor that needs to be dealt with. So I am with a bit of a strange entry in the previous round. The amount of droning inside of this one leads us to believe that we're not going to see a similar situation again. Although the mirror windows are really slowing things down here.
Just waiting to see where Black Dragons want to approach from. And taking their time a lot. They're going to maybe rotate towards Train. I'm getting that feeling they are all in as they're starting to nomad off above and making sure nobody can hit them on the flank. But Train, I've mentioned it before, isn't the easiest to really plant in toward Fireplace. Reduct in that position can easily deny the plant from a simple angle. MIBR have realized that Black Dragons are looking to go for this certain playstyle and rotating a few more bodies to try and assist Val as the best that they can. But he's just going to sit, take a bit of shrapnel from the grenades, and once again, let Black Dragons waste their time.
That really is all that there is to it right now, and MIBR are showing good patience here not to go chasing after these kills, and it's really putting the pressure here onto Black Dragons. They are eventually going to crack as Redux is able to move on through. Live picks himself up a couple of kills though, and again the advantage here is with Black Dragons. So for all that time and all that setup, it has actually paid off to a degree, but there's only 50 seconds now in which to do something about it. And you got a couple of dangerous players still alive with a lot of dangerous utility. Lukid, you got 2 toxic babe canisters. Fleepoxy still has a nitro cell. Final bits of information are now being gathered as we can see the stuns starting to come on through. Toxie, he's going to be successful on to Lukid. That's one less player to worry about, and the 2 toxic babe canisters gone. This is looking increasingly better for Black Dragons, but they do need to figure themselves out a plant spot here. Because with only 15 seconds left, if you let Raps make that rotation, he could really come back to bite you. Raps is going to make said rotation, takes down Patoxy. 9 seconds left, Raps picks up a second. Fleetbox, the final 2! MIBR there, holding fast, 2 versus 4.
Oh, how have MIBR pulled off that one? 2 versus 4. Both of them flooding deep, trying to go for the kill and just line up. They line up for Fleepox as easy as it comes. You have to question, Ollie, why not try and stick to diffuser in that scenario? Why not?
Fleepox hits that shot on controller. You don't even need the keyboard mouse for that one. It's just press your trigger button
hit that
choice.
Shot.
Honestly, he could, and he's in silver.
Yeah, he is in silver. If anyone wants a good laugh, if he's ever streaming, watch him stream. Okay, if you want a good laugh, we got you covered. Actually, here's going to be a big brand deal with Dez and Comedy Central in the near future.
Oh, MIBR. They're going to feel pretty good about that one.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, it's one of those rounds they shouldn't win, but it just feels good to win it, yeah.
It's a round you shouldn't win, great. You know. And for Black Dragons, again, you know, they've got all the time in the world that they need. They should have just tried to force the plant out and cover it. You know, you've got a 4 versus 2 man advantage. It's, if you can't close the round out in that fashion, 4 versus 2, especially when there was no utility that was used to gain either of those kills, it was just straight up gun skill. You know, it was just a fight. It was just bad position on the side of Black Dragons and people on the side of MIBR hitting the shots. That was really what came into fruition. It wasn't a great C4. There wasn't a lot of intel on it. It was just good old-fashioned shoot-em-up stuff. And if you can't win at that, when it's a fairly, like, I nearly said level playing field, is anything but. You know, the advantage is firmly with Black Dragons, but as we can see from the scoreline, 5-1. It paints another picture and tells another story. And now the sides switch.
Moving in. We'll see how Black Dragons will deal on their defensive half. I've seen plenty of times, Ollie, where a 5-1 cafe turns into a 6-6 cafe. It happens. It definitely can. Defense is usually the more favored starting position you would like to be on. See if MIBR can maybe show us where Black Dragons went wrong and show us how you can attack Cafe very easily. Bring in Capital, which is always an interesting pickup in my eyes, but then again, we're dealing with a Wamai ban, so it makes sense.
There's a lot of information and opportunity required for the Capital. You've usually got to get yourself into a good position. It looks as though Redux chosen location is going to be on repels. He tries to find himself an opportunity to use that utility. Now, with the castle barricades there being placed, it actually gives good opportunity for MIBR to move through. Luke going to take advantage there and take down Perez. It's one of the shotguns gone. It's going to be a C4 gone live. Looks for a fadeaway, but instead will dip himself back down, maybe looking for a flank up those red stairs, but Luke is hot on his heels.
And MIBR struggling just a little bit to really get their bearings and find their foothold. Just waiting to see if anyone wants to try and take a peek. But with Piano still in control of Black Dragons, MIBR are going to have very little impact on the round. I'm looking at where they're rotating, Ollie, and I'm just thinking, are they going to go for a skylight drop? Because if they are, it's going to be risky. You look at Reduct, he has the diffuser in hand, he has the Capita bolts. This could end disastrously for MIBR, or it could be one of the best pushes we'll see all day.
I mean, MIBR probably feel like they can do what they like at this moment in time. They've been able to clutch a couple of rounds out there that they really oughtn't to have done. So, looks like they are going to commit and going to go for it. Live pushes his way on out and will be successful. Iron and Patoxy backing him up as well, and Fowles is having that moment of realization where you weren't in the right position at the right time, and he is now left to push his way up these white stairs, unable to find one. Passetto flies over the top rope, picking him off there. As finally, we see a round here going to Black Dragons.
MIBR trying to attack the top floor without taking Piano. You need to take Piano control. You need to have that area of the map in your control, or else you're not going to be able to stage anything whatsoever. And I think MIBR, they learned that the hard way. Black Dragons, they had control. They knew that then MIBR were trying to rotate and do some fancy stuff. And fancy stuff doesn't always work out well. And I think that's been shown.
At the tail end of the replay there, and we just see a round going in Black Dragon's favour. Now, they've looked like they could have won a couple. You know, don't get deluded with the scoreline 5-2. This is, you know, there's a couple of rounds in there for MIBR that they just had a plain no business amount winning. You know, I think about one of the rounds inside of Reading. I think about one of the rounds inside of Kitchen Bakery. There's a good couple. There's potential here to be tied up or even an advantage over toward Black Dragon. So, still by no means is this a clear-cut ordeal just yet. Black Dragons have the opportunity of that defensive side, and well, if last round's anything to go by, they're going to try and make the most of it. And honestly, we're going to need to see a little bit more substance from MIBR. You mentioned their demo that they were reluctant to take into Piano. It was just one of those rounds where you thought, have MIBR maybe fallen into that trap there of, because a couple of rounds have gone their way, they're just feeling a little bit invincible. Like a hatch, you know, Skylight drops a bold move. You rarely see that.
Indeed. What else will we maybe see that we're not ever really used to seeing in Brazil? I'm sure as the season gets on, Ollie, there'll be a few times where I'll be banging my head. I can't wait till FaZe play tonight as well, Ollie, because FaZe are the team that I don't know what I do with them anymore. I just don't. They've scarred me since Invitational. They have. They've scarred me just as a person. I'm terrified.
Well, get yourself ready. They're going to be coming up later on.
I just think Astro Villa Amaru. That's it. That is seared into my skull. Oh, sorry.
Man,
bit of a rant there.
FaZe have been running Amaru here and now, you know. Never mind your Capital for like your little bit of an off-meta pick. You know, get the Amaru in there and just get yourself into Cocktail ASAP and start working the angles and, you know, bring the shotty, bring the SMG and see what sort of damage you can cause. It's certainly a lot more of a direct approach, especially compared to how MIBR are looking to approach here. They're really taking the time, and maybe this could be the sign of MIBR. Yeah. I don't want to say taking things a little bit more seriously, but just recognizing, you know,
they know what they need to do.
We've still got to do the defaults here. We've got to do the basics.
Yeah, and this is what they're doing. They've got in towards Piano. They have the IQ to clear away any utility, or should I say call out any utility. Obviously, Valkyrie cameras, massive on a map like Cafe. We usually see Valkyrie be banned away, but instead we've seen more exotic bans such as the Maestro and the Wamai. So certainly I think Valkyrie being up in the board is going to be abused at every step of the way, I'm sure, for Black Dragons. But once again, either side not really interested in going for the vertical game, not wanting to push in towards the cocktail bar. A lot of teams, like I kind of mentioned, they love going for this train plant. They love trying to push in towards train, open up that single wall and fireplace, smoking everything out, and try and stick a plant.
Not a lot of time left, considering there's 10 players still alive, with the partner pellets going off there. Opening kill this time going in favor of Black Dragons. Redux, he's one-man army, he's going straight through the site. Ion, he's picked up 2 kills with the C4. There's only 7 seconds left. Someone recover that defuse. That someone can only now be Raps. Ion's going to pick up yet another 2. It felt like his was the name most frequent in the scoreboard there during those dying few moments. MIBR leaving themselves extremely short on time and just not coming up with the goods.
MIBR really trying to force these plants as best as they can, but Black Dragons holding their own. All credit to them. Now they have to go to Kitchen now, which Kitchen is usually pretty tough, I think, for attackers. I think especially whenever Kaid is on also. It's going to make things very, very tricky to kind of deal with. We did see Black Dragons whenever they attacked Kitchen. They were making full effect of a Maverick. Look at Fleepox is on, also a Maverick. Even Twitch, which is an operator that we haven't talked about yet, Ollie. Big changes, big rework to how her Twitch drones are now functioning. They can now jump, which is huge. Massive.
Yep.
It has an infinite range on the shocks. Massive.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure also it can now do Goyo shields, can't it? It can now stun away Goyo shields.
It is the new sort of phased no-scope 360 finishing kill of choice, I think.
Well, we love a good trick shot on the Twitch drone, don't we?
Little Twitch drone trick shot. Don't say that too quickly.
Yep.
But yeah, certainly some changes. I mean, as if Twitch needed anything more, you know. We often talk about the F2 and how that is just a beast in itself. But obviously the drone's seeing a little bit of a rework in terms of it being able to jump. I mean, it might sound like such a small thing, but you watch closely some of the positions that these players get drones into. And the fact that now you're going to be able to get your Twitch drones in similar positions as well, if your job with the utility is done or it isn't required, it's been done by another means, you're still going to be able to put, you know, those really handy cameras out there. It's one of those things, it sounds so small, but it has a big ripple effect.
Black Dragons will attempt a hold in towards the top floor. See that Legion scurrying around above. Also, a bit of pressure from a Valkyrie. Well, I think the Toxie maybe missed the camera and will pick it up and toss it back out again. Now anyone sees one behind the black van, so he knows that somebody's going to be sniffing towards that restaurant side of the map, which is an area that was neglected by Black Dragons for a large part of their attacks in towards Kitchen, which was a bit of a blunder. I think definitely this side of the map needs to be respected. I think MIBR, they realize how strong it can be for defenders if you just allow them to rotate and kind of play their own game towards this side.
And the cracks are starting to show in this MIBR attack as another slow round approach is saying that Fowls is going to be able to pick up the kill onto live. Work has been done here. Vertical angles available. We've got Perez playing that. Not a bad operator to have on the vertical, and it means that pushing into prep is going to be even more difficult. The vertical isn't somewhere that MIBR have chosen to give a lot of attention to, but we have seen Fowls be able to pass. Perez has missed him, and that could be quite crucial here, as the plant is now going down. Felipox grabs himself a down in between, which is then converted. A C4 will be detonated, a pre-place, but it is likely not to matter. Perez, he's now 1 versus 3. It's going to be a big round if he's able to clutch it out, especially with the plants already down. Luke has the call. He knows exactly where he's going to be coming from, knows that he's low, and is happy to take on that challenge. MIBR, they pick one up here on the attack.
Yeah, good round for MIBR. Onto that kitchen. Usually is favored as pretty defender-sided whenever Kite is on the board, but MIBR been able to push through that and just really make it awkward for Black Dragons. You can see Black Dragons trying to play off a bit of info there, Ollie, but just not working for them. MIBR match point 6-3. All they need is one more attack. Quick switch back to the top floor for Black Dragons. Last time we were here, Ollie, it ended in disarray for MIBR. They did not do the kind of basics, I would say, correctly. Hopefully now they realize the kind of mistakes that was happening to them, and they can rectify that.
There's a lot of rectifying needed here. If Black Dragons are going to claw back 3 rounds, I know that we've seen it previously today at least. Let's see if Black Dragons have what it takes to dig deep and take this one over the line. You can't help but think MIBR are going to be able to pick one up here, but the question does start to come, you know, where could it be the top floor site? This is the round we saw MIBR just sort of say, you know what, nothing's really working, let's try and go for a skylight drop. The skylight drop didn't work, as is fairly obvious. They very seldom do, so with that said, I doubt that we're going to see the same again. We haven't got the capital this time from MIBR. We've got a similar lineup to what they've been bringing since. They're obviously going to try and show us something a little bit different, a little bit fresher.
Info from the Valcams. That's a great bit of information being spotted out, knowing that somebody's already looking to creep up in towards white. Drone also following up. Blue Kids is in for a bit of a scare though. 2 people doubled up in white stairs. In the meantime, just holding back as it goes. A shuffle. Oh, that's a great nade from Philippox. Almost finds the second. Ion takes a lot of damage, and there goes the nade. Oh, right into the clutches of Philippox. A beautiful play from MIBR, Ollie. And is that the final nail, perhaps, that goes into the coffin? All they need to do is close the lid, and away they are.
Really isn't looking good here for Black Dragons. They've lost a couple of early kills there. And you think to your Valkyrie, you've lost that C4, you've lost that potential to make those quick aggressive plays. Maybe Bassetto is going to go for it here and now. There's chance at a kill downstairs and then potentially a run out if he really wants to get flashy with things, but the likelihood is that he's just going to continue to get pressured, and pressured he will get. Raps, he'll be next on through, and he shuts him down as well. Luke Kid fires Patoxy. Poor old Perez. The second stage inside of the BR6. It isn't looking like a great start to stage 3 for Black Dragons. MIBR, they're going to close things out with a flawless round, proving they do know how to attack onto that top floor. They're going to take the game 7 rounds to 3 here tonight.
MIBR back with a vengeance. They come in after pretty lackluster stage 2, and their stage 3 kicks off in a great gear. Let's see if they can fall out for the rest of the season. MIBR, they're back.